Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the show. The first Conservative caucus meeting since the election campaign happened today, and so joining me now to discuss the most recent caucus meeting of the Conservative Party and the future of the Conservative Party and the future of the current leadership is Philip Lawrence, who was re-elected as the Member of Parliament for Northumberland, Peterborough South. So, Phil, I'm going to start out with you just came out of the caucus meeting. There are several reports of MPs in your party giving interviews anonymously to different news stations where they have said Aaron O'Toole shouldn't stay on as leader. A national councillor with your party started a petition to remove Mr. O'Toole. So do you think this caucus meeting helped in terms of the unity of your party?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And first of all, I'd like to congratulate you, Mr. Sharp, on doing a great job of covering the election there with an interview with Prime Minister Trudeau and the future Prime Minister Aaron O'Toole. And so I'll answer, I think I answered some of your question right there. But no, it was obviously because of caucus confidentiality, I can't go into the details of it, nor would I. But I think we're going to have a very robust review. Headed by Mr. James Cumming, and I walked to there united behind Aaron O'Toole. And Aaron has my complete and full support and confidence, and I believe that he will be the next Prime Minister of Canada.
When we look at the national seat count, I mean, nothing really changed for any of the parties, which includes your parties in terms of the national seat count. But what do you think should have been done differently to pick up more seats in, let's say, the GTA, more seats in Atlantic Canada, a seat like Fredericton even, they could have won? What would you say about that?
Yeah, thanks, Wyatt, and certainly a great question. And I know Mr. Cummings' review of the election will come through a lot of those pieces, and I'm sure that there will be learnings that will come out of it. And quite frankly, there have to be, because we didn't win the last election. That being said, in my neck of the woods, where I'm from, a little town called Orono, you might be familiar with it, Wyatt, and the surrounding area, we actually did quite well, right? So we we picked up Peterborough Kawartha, and had a great chat with Michelle today. I think she'll be a fabulous MP for the area. Shelby Cramp Nyman will change the seat blue, of course, previously held by Derek Sloan. And then, of course, Ryan was able to win Bay of Quinte as well. So I'm sure there'll be lessons that will emerge. And let me be blunt, our objective was to win this election, and we didn't. And so we have to pick up the lessons from that going forward.
You mentioned somebody like Derek Sloan. There were many ridings, like Kitchener South Hespeler, it wasn't Derek Sloan that prevented your party from winning it. But the PPC in some of those ridings received, I believe it was 7% in that riding. So even if 1% of those voters had went to your party, you could have won that riding. There were lots of other key races. The riding of Richmond Hill, it was a pretty big difference between the Liberal and Conservative candidate. But again, the PPC candidate could have given some support to the Conservative candidate if there wasn't a candidate. So how big of a concern is the PPC to you moving forward into, let's say, the next election?
Yeah, having lived through the days when the Conservative movement was divided, it can be extremely challenging if, in fact, we have a Conservative movement is divided. So we need to make as big a tent as we possibly can, consistent with Conservative values going forward. And certainly, we would like to increase the amount of our what we call our voter universe, or the votes that we can possibly get. And so some of that would be winning back some of the PPC support. I will tell you, in our own riding of Northumberland, Peterborough South, we only had 5% PPC support, and even with which was an increase, I believe, 2 or 3%. And even with that, we were able to increase our vote total by 6 or 7%, right? So we're confident, at least in Northumberland, Peterborough South, we're headed in the right directions. We'll learn the lessons, we'll lick our wounds, and we'll move forward. And while we want to get to the work of governing and helping people in Northumberland, Peterborough South, we'll be ready for the next election.
You mentioned division in the Conservative movement, which was obviously, with the PPC, a big issue, and obviously back with the days of the Reform Party as well. So just how do you think the Conservative Party can stay united? Because obviously for a party like your party, when there seems to be other right-wing parties emerging like the PPC, there's figures like Derek Sloan as well. So what steps can your party and your caucus take to stay united?
Yeah, another fantastic question, Wyatt. There, so we need to, like I said, make sure that we have that big tent, that we are an open party to whether it be liberals who are disenfranchised with the level of corruption and the failures of the Trudeau government, such as delivering clean water to our Indigenous people, or whether it be PPC supporter who seeks more freedom and liberty for their country. We need to make sure that we are a safe landing spot for both those folks. And one of the things that candidly we can focus on, and quite frankly, Canadians need us to focus on, is the economy as we recover from hopefully the waning stages of the pandemic. We need to make sure that we have jobs back, that we have reasonable, sustainable fiscal policies, and that we fight climate change as well. And I think those are items that most Canadians can rally around.
We talked about it a little bit, but to talk about it a little bit more, people like Leona Alislev, Bob Sorora, James Cumming, Jag Sahota, there's a couple of them who lost their seats in this election. And so just do you think the majority of this would be local race and just the local campaign, or do you think the majority of it would fall at the feet of the national campaign?
Yeah, another great question from you, Wyatt. So also I throw Nellie Shin in as well. We lost some great members of our caucus, and that's very sad. And I hope that most, if not all of them, choose to run again. We certainly miss their, and Alice Wong as well. We certainly will miss their voices at caucus, all very strong candidates. And that will all come underneath James Cummings' review. He will review the campaign from top to bottom. And I'm sure there'll be lots of lessons that we can learn and opportunities to improve. And like I said, just to make sure that we're in a great position when the next election comes.
One of the key issues that I asked a question to Aaron O'Toole about when I did the interview with him in Whitby was on climate change. And obviously, I know we've had brief conversations about this before as well, but just how do you think the Conservative Party can, I guess, address the stereotype that they don't care about climate change and that Conservatives don't believe in climate change? And just what are some things that you would like to see done on this file?
Yeah. So with climate change, I want to be humble and I'm very thankful for the people of Northumberland and Peterborough South. But I think our team did a pretty reasonable job of communicating that in our riding. And I will be interested to see the breakdown of the polling. But as you saw, sort of the Green vote go down, ours went up. And so that could just be a correlation without causation. But I have a suspicion that we were able to bring some of our former Conservative voters who switched to the Green Party back, which was fantastic. I think we had a strong platform. You're right. We probably didn't do enough in climate change in 2019 and 2015, but we had a strong policy. Our climate, according to independent experts, would achieve the same level of emission reduction as the Liberal plan in December of 2020 or 2021. No, 2020, sorry, of their climate plan. So we had a strong climate plan. Our climate plan was actually rated ahead of both the NDP and the Green Party. And so I think we just need to get out there and communicate.
All right, and just as one final question, obviously there's lots of people wondering about shadow cabinet, about caucus chair. I believe, I'm not 100% sure if it's true, but I think I did just see a report that Scott Reid was chosen as the caucus chair. Is that true?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, so I think it's public matter, public, and if I don't, you'll have a scoop here. Scott Reid was elected, and he defeated Michael Barrett as caucus chair, and I think either one of those gentlemen would have done a fine job. But yes, Scott Reid was elected, and he did a great job in his first meeting. Even though I'm not supposed to give any details about caucus, I just did because of your great reporting there. You got.
And so just in regards to shadow cabinet, you told me before that there's not necessarily a indication yet on when the shadow cabinet will be announced, but is there maybe to speak a little bit about that and about some things you would like to see in a future shadow cabinet and just some things that you feel are important?
Yeah, I'll give you the same answer I gave you off the record as I on the record. Yeah, so we I don't know. I shouldn't say we. I don't know when shadow cabinet will be announced, and I'll give you the same answer I gave you before. You didn't like it then, but maybe you'll like it now. Is that I am personally happy to serve in any capacity in which Aaron wishes me to serve. And I'm sure we've got a very talented caucus. So I'm sure we'll have a great shadow cabinet. I certainly very much enjoyed my time there in the during the last parliament. But either way, whether I'm in or out of the caucus, I'll be working hard for the people of Northumberland. So, or in or out of not caucus cabinet, but
All right, Phil. Well, thanks again for joining me, and yeah, best of luck in the next parliament.
Perfect. Thanks, Wyatt.